Hey everyone, Dr. Mark Supernaut here, Family Healing Chiropractic. Just want to take you through some concepts here today about how the body was designed to heal itself. Just finished recording my radio show and really kind of went in depth about how God designed the body to be able to heal itself, and that you can't add more healing to the body than it's already there, but you can do things that will take away or suppress the healing that God already put inside of your body. All living things have this inborn innate intelligence that is designed to be able to allow you to adapt and to coordinate to stressors that are in your environment. So think about like living things like a plant. If you take a plant and turn it away from the light, what does it want to do? It wants to turn its leaves back to life. Why? Because it wants to survive. If you don't water a plant, what does it want to do? It wants to dig its roots deeper so it can actually find water. It's trying to survive, just like that weed in your crack of your driveway. It wants to survive. Our bodies are designed way more complex than that and way more amazing, but we all have this inborn innate intelligence that our body is trying to constantly coordinate and adapt to the stressors that we have both externally and internally inside of our bodies. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, is how your body was designed to actually be able to heal and to function along the way. So I talked about this in a class recently, is that, you know, you're a lot of people are still tired even when they're doing everything right. It's not about sleep. It's about really about the efficiency of your body. It's about, you know, if you feel tired a lot, if you have brain fog, if you have low energy, if you're doing everything right, but you're still have these aches and pains and this chronic disease and you're taking medications. If you're taking medications or have any symptoms of any sort, that's a warning signals that your body is not working as efficiently like it should, or like it's supposed to. And so, and then the proof is out there. There's more sickness and disease, more metabolic issues, more hormonal imbalances these days than ever before. 1 in 3 adults can't get proper sleep. A lot of people are reporting that they have fatigue. So we're more tired than ever. We're more sick than ever. And we've had the best, quote unquote, the best medical care that we've ever had on the history of the planet in the greatest country on the planet. And yet we're sicker than ever before. We're a decade back, they did a whole research study. They said, hey, look, let's find the top 37 richest countries and let's start to compare who's healthy, who's sick. And what they found is that of those 37 richest countries, out of those 37 rich countries, they took and gathered data. They want to see who's healthy, who's sick. Guess who spent the most money on healthcare? We did, by far. We're only 5% of the world's population, yet we spend 75% of the world's drugs, or we take 75% of the world's drugs. We're 5% of the world's population, yet we take 70 to 75% of the world's drugs. And we spend the most money on healthcare. I use healthcare like this because it's not healthcare. It should be considered or called sick care. Because sick care is when you wait until somebody breaks down and then you do something to try to hide the symptoms. The medical industrial complex, which is the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and the insurance industry, they're not in the health world. These are sick. These are putting fires out world is what that is. It's not healthcare. And these two Harvard doctors said, you know what? We ranked 37 out of 37. We were dead last when it came to health. And the reason why is because we don't have a healthcare system. We have a sick care system. You know, so what happens is that when it's not just about feeling tired, it's the chronic stress patterns. It's increased inflammation, slow healing, more pain, more tension. We have more of these things than we ever have been before. And all we've been taught by the medical industrial complex is that we've been taught to treat the body in parts. If you have a headache, take something. If you have a heart problem, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, take something. If you have digestive problems, take something. We don't look at this as a system. We look at it as a series of systems along the way is what we look at this about. And so we need to start to understand or realize that it's so much bigger than that, that the body is not just about a sum of its parts. It's about the function of the overall body. Is it able to coordinate? Is it able to heal? Is it able, if it's able to do those things, then you're in a great position. You're in a great shape. And so what I want to talk about is that every fix that we talk about in this world, and right now I'm on it right now, there is no shortcuts to healing ever. There are no peptides all of a sudden that we just discovered. There's no peptides. There's no drugs. There's no hormone replacement. There's no GLP. I don't care. It will help. Those things will help you with your symptoms. But at what long-term cost do these things? These things have side effects to it, and we don't even know what they are yet, but it shifts the stress to another area. And so we need to start to become more responsible. Yeah. Hey, well, look, I get it. Some people need these things. in certain situations, emergency situations. But the reality is that your habits are what are reflecting what your health is really like right now. And so actually getting to the core root of where the health problem is or where the function problem is, that's a way better way than trying to hide it with some kind of new miracle drug or pill. And this is what I talked about. Then we went in depth at this class about this. You can't add more energy or healing to your body. You can't add than what God already put there in your body, but you can do things that will take it away. And some of the things you do to take it away is you don't drink enough water. You don't get enough sleep. You're way too stressed out constantly with chemicals being put in your bodies. You're stressed out with the emotions. You're stressed out with social media and the news and getting caught up in the world. You're stressed. One thing that we look at is you're stressed from a nerve system standpoint, because somewhere along the way, that stress compiles and puts more and more stress on your body, and your body has to do something with that stress. And so you can't add more energy or healing to your body, but you can do things that are going to take away that energy, that healing from your body. So in the healing process, though, too, you need to understand is that your body prioritizes survival. It wants to live. So crazy story. I'm sitting in my office right now, as you guys can see, and standing. And I had a lady that came in here about a decade ago. Low back pain. She was miserable, had all kinds of arthritis degeneration. She was in her late 70s, mid 70s. And she says to me, she goes, I've tried everything. I've gone everywhere, and I'm just here because I don't know what else to do. We started adjusting her, and after like the second adjustment, I think, or maybe even the first, she started having diarrhea every single day. And she's calling our office, texting me. She's like, what's going on with me? Why is this happening? Why is it happening? My back pain's still here, and now I have these other problems, and what's going on with me? And I said, your body is prioritizing what it needs to heal first. And I hate the fact that you have more symptoms, just like some people will have more aches and pains before it gets better, or have more realization. I had a guy in here the other day. He's like, man, I never knew I had this sciatic nerve problem until I got adjusted. I said, that's your nerves now finally coming back to life. And now they're able to feel where they've been suppressed for such a long time. And those nerves that go to your sciatic nerve that were being suppressed or pressured or having issues with it, they're not only the nerves that go to your sciatic nerve, they also go to your digestive organs, your male organs, all those other things. And so it's just like, it's start to understand that your nerve system, when you start to get the nerve system working well, the body will always prioritize what it needs to heal first. And so this lady, the diarrhea lasted for 3 months. And then one day she comes and gets adjusted. The next day, the diarrhea goes away. And the very next day, the back pain goes away. And she finally feels like herself again. The back pain's gone. She's so happy, but she also says she felt lighter, had more energy. Her sleep was better. And I said, do you realize what your body was trying to do? And she goes, no. And I go, it was cleaning something out of your system, something out of your digestive system that you didn't even know that you had issues with. Something was there. And that's when you prioritize healing in your body and you support the body to heal itself. That's the better way than trying to take a pill, a drug, a peptide, a supplement to try to force symptom relief. Same thing even with chiropractic. There's a lot of chiropractors out there that will just adjust you, put heat, ice, machines on you, lasers. They'll put you on these tables that bend you and flip you and everything like this. Again, they're trying, and I get it. We want to help people. We want people to be symptomatic free, but you've got to really focus in on, how do I support the healing that God put inside my body from the beginning? How do I get there? That's what we're looking for. And so I love this story. I'm going to tell this story. Probably be the last story I tell. But the way that the body's designed, I love it, is that we have this thing in our country where we've been tossed and shoved down our throat for the last 150 years, is that we live in this germ theory, maybe 175 years. The germ theory states that if you get touched with a bug or a virus or a bacteria, you're going to get sick. And then there's another theory called the terrain theory. I'm going to get to that as well. So there's a germ theory versus terrain theory. The germ theory says that, oh man, my body's weak. It's genetics. I'm at the mercy of this world, and whatever happens to me happens to me. There's a virus. There's a new virus. There was COVID that was fake and all this kind of stuff. That these things happen, right? Because we live in this germ theory, this scarcity mindset, and we feel like that we get exposed to these things, we're going to get sick. But then why doesn't everybody get sick? That's the question you've got to ask. Why doesn't everybody? If the germ theory is true, then everybody would be dead. And so the reality is that it's not about the germs. It's about how strong is your body from the inside. And when you're trying to take shortcuts and you're trying to cut down symptoms, it doesn't allow you to get to the spot that you need to be so your body can function and actually heal and learn and adapt and coordinate and get better and get stronger as you get older. Your body's supposed to learn along the way. Just like when you go to the gym and you lift weights, your muscles should get stronger and stronger. Your body should get stronger because when you stress it, it learns and you allow it to heal and you allow it to function. And what happens is it gets stronger. The same thing happens with our body. So the germ theory versus the terrain theory is that the medical industrial complex wants to keep you in the germ theory. They don't pay for wellness. They don't pay for you to eat good or to exercise or to take good care of your body, to pray. They don't pay for you to meditate. They don't pay for you to go to the chiropractor to get a spinal alignment and free up your nervous system so your innate intelligence can flow freely through your body so your body can adapt and coordinate. They don't pay for that. That's not what the germ theory, the medical industrial complex is about. The terrain theory, which is the right theory, which is about strengthening your body from the inside. So that way you are less likely for sickness and disease. Not only that, it's not even about prevention of sickness and disease. It's not even about reversing sickness and disease. What it's about is allowing your body to function and heal and coordinate and adapt at the highest level so you have the best fighting chance at becoming the human being that God designed you to become. So you can do the things that you were designed and called to this earth to do, whether it's to help people and love people, to lead people, to work in coal mines, to take care of kids, to whatever it is. Like, you're here for a reason. And about strengthening the body's health, and the terrain theory is all about that. So I love going back to this story. My grandpa, God rest his soul, died, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. Grandma right before him, but they farmed on this farm, little 250 acre farm up in Illinois, for 70 years almost. I think grandpa farmed there. Even before he bought it, I think he farmed with the guy beforehand. But like, he finally retired at 88 years old. But he had this farm, and I remember as a kid always going there, running through the cornfields and the beans and all this kind of soybeans and all this kind of stuff, and the hay fields and jumping from hay bales and all kinds of fun stuff. And but like, he had this beautiful land with great soil. And at one point in time, the city of Chicago wanted to come buy the land there, and they were gonna truck garbage down from the city. And so imagine if they would have started on that beautiful land. This is not a picture of his farm, but this is just kind of an illustration of what it would look like, a good farmland, right? And this is up in Illinois, of course. And so, but if they would have started dumping garbage everywhere, what was that eventually going to start to attract? It was going to attract the rodents. It was going to attract the buzzards. It was going to attract the flies. It was going to attract the maggots. It was going to attract, and you were going to have all this disgusting stuff and bacteria and disease and smells and everything else like that, because that's what garbage attracts. Garbage attracts garbage, right? So this is what happens. Now, you could look at this garbage dump if they would have done that, and you'd have said, man, we got to get rid of these rodents. We got to get rid of these maggots. We got to get rid of these flies. We got to get rid of these buzzards. So you could have shot the buzzards out of the sky. You could have poisoned the maggots and the flies. You could have poisoned or trapped the rats and got rid of those. You could have done it. But what's eventually going to happen? I don't care if you did it full time all the time. Those things are eventually going to come back, because the only way that you're going to get rid of that infestation, right? The infection, the infestation, the only way you're going to get rid of it is to do what? You've got to clean up the terrain. You've got to bring it back to where it was, the way that it was designed. And this is exactly what we're talking about with the human body. I hope this makes sense. I hope this is landing with somebody's family out there. Hopefully you're going to start to understand this. And that's why we see families in here. Like, when we open up these doors this afternoon, we have a lot of families that come in here. And the reason why is because we don't want just mom with the headaches or the thyroid problem to get better from getting adjusted. We don't want just dad with the back pain and the sciatic nerve to be able to get adjusted so he feels better, so he can still work out, or so he can still sit at the computer and work and make money for the family. No, we want the whole family functioning at the highest level. We want the whole family to be at this green pasture, instead of waiting until sickness and disease comes in there. Instead of waiting until that infestation starts to come in there. And you want to restore the body back to factory reset. Like I was saying before, is that you can't add more energy. You can't add more healing to the body, but you can take away with what God gave it, and by making your body into a garbage dump. And your body's a garbage dump because you don't exercise. Your body's a garbage dump because you don't drink enough water. You're taking way too many medications. You're taking things that are unnatural for our bodies to be in. You're getting vaccinated. You put this garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. That's how it works. These are laws of nature. This is how the body actually works. So which one do you want to be? Or do you want to be in the germ theory, the germ theory testing group here over here, or do you want to be in the terrain theory? And in the terrain theory, you've got to start to not chase symptoms, but you need to start to talk about function. How do I remove interferences that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis that's disrupting my body's ability to be able to function? And the nervous system is what controls where the energy goes. It coordinates, regulates, adapts. I've already talked about this, and I lied. This is going to be the last piece I'm going to end on. When this was described to me in my class in embryology, this is where it really connected for me to understand. Some of you guys know my story. I had really bad asthma allergies when I was growing up, so asthma allergies, they gave me meds for that. The meds for that caused headaches. So at 12 years old, they put me on Tylenol and aspirin, and that started eating holes in my stomach because all medicines have side effects. So the ulcers that it started causing, I started taking meds for ulcer medication or ulcers when I was 17 years old. And then, of course, the ulcer medications then threw off my digestive system, which I then had to start taking meds for that. So here I am, pre-med, third year pre-med at University of Iowa. I'm 21 years old. I thought I was going to become a doctor. I wanted to help people. And I randomly had this academic advisor assigned to me. And she said, she goes, why do you want to be a medical doctor or a physical therapist was my other choice. She goes, it doesn't sound like you were helped by your doctors growing up. It doesn't sound like you have that trust in that. Why would you want to be one? I said, well, I want to help people. And she said, you should go try my chiropractor. And I thought she was crazy because I thought chiropractic worked with neck pain and back pain only. And it's like, no. It's so much bigger than that. And so what happens is that she started explaining to me, she goes, listen, this is how God designed the body. The brain and spinal cord control every function in your body. And as long as the brain's communicating through the nervous system out the nerves to all the organs, cells, and tissues, then your body can adapt and function and should be able to heal. And if you've had all these problems and medicines aren't taking these things away, it never will. The medications, all they're going to do is they're going to keep covering up your symptoms and causing more problems long-term down the road. And I was only 21 years old. So I went, and the chiropractor explained the same thing to me, and I was blown away by it. I was still massively skeptical, but I started getting adjusted. Within about 2 or 3 months, my asthma allergy started to melt away. And understand, I was quote unquote healthy, I thought, because I played sports all the way to 21 years old. I was a scholarship rugby athlete in college, and I played baseball at scholarship college too. So I was healthy, right? But I wasn't really healthy. And so clearly, because, you can say you're healthy by looking healthy, but then you're taking 3 different medications. Are you really healthy? Like, you can say you're healthy and feel good and have good energy, but are you really that if you're on a CPAP machine? Like, I mean, and again, I'm not throwing shade at anybody. I'm just saying, like, these are signs that something's breaking down inside your body, and you've got to do something about it. So I started getting adjusted, and my life completely changed. I came off all my medications. That was 31 years ago. And full disclosure, I did take 2 Vicodin about 14 years ago when I ruptured my Achilles because the pain was so extreme after the surgery to sew it back together that I was about ready to bite through my pillow, and I needed to do something about it. And so it was life-changing for me to start to understand how the body works. Well, this is the second part. So that first part was my personal testimony. The second part that just changed my mind about how the body functions and heals was really through this class right here. It's called embryology. It's about how babies are formed, basically. And it talks about how the adaptation and the coordination of the body and how it's designed and what it does and how the body's set up. And so it talks about, and I'm going to probably butcher this a little bit, but I'm going to give you guys the kindergarten version of this. I actually just taught this at my daughter's 7th and 8th grade class. So I'm going to give you that version of it. And so essentially what happens is when the sperm and the egg come together, it forms a zygote, and that zygote starts to shift, right? So embryo starts to shift into zygotes, and then all these cells start to dividing. And as the cells are dividing, all the cells are they're all the exact same cells. There's no what they call differentiation. Differentiation means that there's different cells. Like right now in your body, you have heart cells, you have muscle cells, you have blood cells, you have white blood cells, you have all these different cells throughout your body. Well, back then when the sperm and the egg come together, when they start dividing from 2 to 4 to 4 to 8, 8 to 16, and so on and so forth, when that happens, all the cells are basically just dividing its life. And then the first coordination of anything that happens is in the first few weeks is that the primitive streak or or the notochord starts to form, which is that line that you see on the left-hand side here. And it looks weird, but that's the start of where the spinal cord, the brain and spinal cord and the nerves, that's the genesis of that. And that brain and spinal cord, as it starts to form, those are the first differentiation of the cells. And then the power that's inside, that God puts inside that baby, right? As the brain and spinal cord starts to form and starts to divide into differentiation, different things, then what happens is the knowledge that's inside that brain goes down through the spinal cord, and then the nerves pop out. So you can see the third picture where the nerves start growing. Those nerves will go out into the body as it's being formed. And at the end of those nerves are constantly telling the tissues that you're going to be this. You're going to be a heart. You're going to be muscles. You're going to be blood. You're going to be bones. You're going to be this. And you're going to be an arm. You're going to be like it's coordinating this whole thing. And so it's fascinating to me. And so the brain and spinal cord, they go out and they tell the organs, cells, and tissues exactly what to become. And here's what's even more amazing. The same nerves that form those organs, cells, and tissues are the same nerves that keep those organs, cells, and tissues alive to this day. So if I come in here and I cut the nerve that's going to your heart, the heart's going to die. And as that baby's developing, if I cut the nerve that's going to the leg won't develop. If I cut the nerve that's going to the arm won't develop. That's how important the brain and spinal cord is. It created the organ, cells, and tissues. And right now where you're sitting listening to this, it's also keeping those things alive and healthy right now as we speak. And they know this is true because what they did is women that had morning sickness, and back in the 60s and early 70s, they used to give them this drug called thalidomide. And what thalidomide did is it actually decreased morning sickness, which was good for the mom because nobody wants to be sick all the time, right? But what they didn't know until these babies were born is it stopped the growth of the nerve system at the times that the appendages, the arms or the legs were being grown. And so these babies were being born with half arms, half legs. And they were called flipper babies. And it was from a direct response to the medications of the thalidomide that stopped the nerve growth. So what that helped understand through this process is that those nerves not only grow the organ, cells, and tissues and the appendages in your skin and everything else that you see, but they keep it alive. Now, here's the third part of that. That brain spinal cord nerve system that created it and keeps it alive is also the same source that can heal those things along the way. So as you grow up and as you're born into this world, that nerve system is what keeps it alive, keeps it coordinated, keeps it healthy. But if there's problems with it, it can also come back in and heal those things because it's the system that created it. It's a system that created it out of basically nothing but cells. And so that's where chiropractic comes in our office as we talk about this, is that the brain and spinal cord control every function you have. For you to hear, see, for your heart to beat, for your lungs to breathe, for your thyroid to produce the right amount of hormones that it needs to have to coordinate, your pituitary gland to be able to coordinate all the bodies and your immune system and everything. Your brain and spinal cord, your innate intelligence is what controls that. But if your nerve system has stress to it, it can't get the messages there. And if it can't get the messages there, the body just can't heal, can't do what it was designed, what it was created to be able to do. So if you're out there, if you're listening to this, if you want to come get checked at our office, this is a great opportunity for you. I'll give you guys the same offer I just gave to our radio show people. It's only $60 for you to come in and get an exam, x-rays, consultation with me, typically $250. But if you call us, the number's down below on the ticker, or if you text us the word radio or text the word consult, that's fine. You can come in. Let's come in. Let's get checked up. Let's see if you have problems within the function of your nerve system. And let's start to get to the root cause of why the body is not functioning. This is a big piece. If you want to start to make sure that the terrain is working well, this is the big piece of the terrain working well. That's what we're trying to do, is restore function back to the body. I tell my patients all the time, I do not heal you. God designed your body to heal itself. So the guy that came in from the radio the other day, not only did after one adjustment, his arthritis in his hands almost completely started going away after one adjustment, but he went home and he ate really crappy food because he had to travel long distances. He ate cake and all this other stuff. He says, my blood sugar actually stayed steady after one adjustment. He goes, I know I didn't change anything else. I didn't add any actual insulin, nothing. He goes, my blood sugar stayed where it was supposed to be, even though I was eating the crappy food that I knew I shouldn't have, that would have killed me, not killed me, but would have crushed the insulin, that sugar in his body, in his blood a week ago. And then the last thing he talked about, he said, listen, he goes, can this also help me with my intimacy with my wife? Because I usually have to take pills for it. He goes, I had no problems with this last week. And I said, listen, when you start to create proper function to the body will do exactly what God designed it to do. But if you do things that will take away from the way that God designed you, that's when things start to putter out and the body starts to shut down and not have the proper function that you need to have. So hope you guys have a great and blessed day. Text us if you have questions. If you want me to do shows on something or answer questions, text us below. I'll answer any questions you guys have. Have a great and blessed day. Dr. Mark, peace out.